Welcome back, everybody, to the Assertive Podcast. I'm Erica.
I'm Jess.
And we are licensed professional counselors reviewing Am I the Asshole Reddit threads to help you learn skills for communication, healthy boundary setting, and assertive interpersonal functioning. Today, we are going to be looking at financial boundaries, doing a little review of those, self-efficacy, and navigating money management. We're going to be doing all of this with a post titled, Am I the Asshole? My sister wants a cut of my bonus, and I've said no.
Our author writes, so the title is a little bit unfair. She said she'd like to borrow some of my bonus. She recently revealed to me that she's in 300 euros of overdraft debt. Then today expanded to that also being in 2,400 euros of credit card debt. Over text, she asked me if I'd pay it off and let her pay me back over the next few months. My sister actually has 16,000 euros in a Lisa account that she's going to buy a house with. I point blank told her I wouldn't lend her the money, then suggested that she take it out of the Lisa. I really do think that would be best for her. I mean, she's not in debt to anyone and wouldn't be having to deprive herself over the next few months to pay it off. The problem with withdrawing from her savings is that she'd lose 25%. So 600 euros if she drew out the 2,400. I asked her how much interest she's paying each month, to which she replied 48 euros. Now her credit card has a 40% annual APR. I told her that she must be paying at least 80. She responded by laughing it off and saying she tries not to think about it. So she's either lying or ignorant of the real amount. The other thing is that I'm aware I've got selfish reasons not to lend her the money. There's an element of risk, and it means the money won't be at my disposal until it's paid back. I could pay off her debt right now, which makes me think I'm the asshole.
More money, more problems.
That's what they say. Jay-Z told us. We got to know about that. Man, she's quick to ask for some help. I wonder how long she's been in a crunch, but this doesn't like scream financial crisis to me. Right? And for the listeners, this is obviously a UK based post, so we looked it up. A Lisa account it sounds kind of like an IRA fund that they're able to set aside,
like tax-free savings for a home, or I think the L is for like lifelong. So from like 60, you can pull it without any penalties. If you're using it to buy a house, you can pull it without any penalties. Or if you're terminally ill, you can pull it without any penalties. But it's kind of used for those three main life events.
Okay. And so she would get basically some kind of penalty from extracting that savings without having that set aside. Okay. Because she pulled it out early and not needing for one of those reasons. So what were your kind of first impressions of this post?
I kind of got the sense that the in-debt sister is kind of wanting to have her cake and eat it too. She wants to pay off her debt and get that stress resolved.
Yeah.
And she wants to keep her house savings.
Yeah.
And so she's kind of found this alternate avenue, which is her sister, who just got a nice little bonus and could potentially solve this problem for us. And we would have minimal consequences. We're still owing, but we're probably not getting charged interest by our sister, probably not getting calls every day like you would from debt collectors.
Yeah. I think that's so as soon as somebody like wins the lottery and all this family comes out of the woodwork and something. So she got this bonus and people are coming up with their hands out like, what the hell? This is, So she's worked for a bonus and got rewarded with a bonus, but then the sister's seeing it as kind of an opportunity to get a little bit of a bailout almost. So give us kind of a little refresher from our financial boundaries episode that we did, and which I love that episode. We say that all the time, but that's a great one. If you haven't heard it yet, go listen to it.
Yes, financial boundaries, 50K gone. For a quick rundown, financial boundaries really just help us define how we're going to interact with our finances. So this could include like the budget we're setting for ourselves, how we allow others to interact with our finances, which is what is happening here. Do we loan money out or not? What is kind of our personal philosophy on that? It can help you determine your values related to money and finances, and so how you really allow your finances to affect your life.
Hmm. So if we were to maybe we're going to encourage the author to establish firm and healthy, assertive financial boundaries here. What do you think that would look like?
Ooh, I would talk about comfortability.
Oh.
And would loaning this money create more or less stress in your life? And she's talking about kind of a selfish reason for not wanting to, because it just wouldn't be available to her. But also, if she had planned to put this in her own savings or to create her own safety net, like, you deserve to have a safety net. That's not a terrible reason to not loan money. Talking about what constitutes you having money to loan and you not having money to loan.
Okay.
So a lot of people say like 3 months worth of like monthly expenses is what you should kind of have saved for like emergencies.
Yeah.
And so if that's all you have in your savings, technically you don't really have money to loan.
Because that would put you at risk for your needs not being met if you were to give somebody else that money.
And then worst case scenario happened and you did need to rely on those funds. Well, now they're not there. And so for her, figuring out what's your dollar amount that you need, and are we comfortable not having that? Or do we want to go ahead and just assume like that money's not there, we're going to forget it exists because it's there for this very specific reason?
So based on the OP, it sounds like her initial reaction is, this feels risky. This is taking out of my pocket.
Yep.
I'm hearing that maybe you would encourage the OP to not loan that money. That feels kind of icky.
Yeah, she's already not feeling good about it. Trust your instincts. And so I would just validate her decision and help her come to terms with that.
Yeah.
It sounds like she's feeling a little bit of guilt, probably from the family connection. This is a loved one. She wants to be able to help her sister. But what's helping and what's harming?
And again, if I was the OP, maybe I'd be curious about, what is she going into debt over? Is this because she's online shopping, or is this because she can't pay like basic bills, or what is happening there? Because, if it's like, oh my gosh, I'm about to be evicted, or there's some kind of like actual basic needs not being met. But the way that the sister is talking about it, like, oh, I don't even know the minimum payment. It doesn't sound like it's being used for like essentials, or maybe it is, but it doesn't sound like it from the way that this was drafted. But
at least doesn't sound like she has a lot of financial wisdom, like not knowing like what your minimum payment is, not knowing how much you're paying in interest every month. That seems a bit problematic to me.
So I would say, I'm not, as a disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor, right? So take my feedback and Erica's feedback with a grain of salt or whatever on money tips. I think this is from Dave Ramsey, actually, who is like a financial advisor. But if you are in debt and your interest rate is 40% annual APR, you should not be putting money aside for a house. You shouldn't be saving money when you have no money. You need to be paying off debt first. So if she was to take the contribution that she's putting into the account and putting it towards debt, but if you're losing that much money on interest every month, setting aside money in this account, you're still losing money. So you need to pause on stashing it away and like focusing on paying off the thing with the highest interest rate first. Like that needs to be all of your focus. And so even the trying to pay off debt while also save is, she's going to keep spinning her wheels there, because the more the interest accumulates, the higher that debt's going to be. And so just, if you find yourself in debt or multiple credit cards or whatever, consolidate it all onto one, or take out one personal loan with a low interest rate so that you're managing one account. And you need to pause on savings within reason. If you have $100,000 in student loans, you might be paying that off for years and years, and you still have to save, right? Yes, they say get $1,000 saved as a safety net just for emergencies. And once you have $1,000, you need to, paying off debt needs to be the primary focus to get out of debt, basically. So again, grain of salt, not a financial advisor. I've done that in my personal life. It's been exceptionally effective. I know that he has a lot of success, I think, Dave Ramsey, with that guidance. So the little sister who's in debt, if she was your client, when would you encourage her to start asking for help, financial help? Because she seems she's kind of doing it prematurely, in my opinion. But I don't know her income or her expenses. What are your thoughts on that?
I think my own personal bias may play a bit of a role here, and I'm pretty independent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not quick to ask for help and use up all of my own resources first before I outsource. And so I think I would be asking her, have you used all of the resources available to just you? And if the answer is yes, then it's, well, let's ask for help. It's okay to ask for help. And
Okay.
sometimes that looks like calling the credit card company and talking to them. Can we adjust these payments? Do I qualify for a lower interest rate? Maybe we get a new credit card, which she may not qualify for if she's maxed out on current ones, right? But potentially this would be worth exploring. Get a new credit card. A lot of times they'll offer you like 12 months, 18 months interest free. Do a balance transfer and pay it off. While you have 12, 18 months to pay that off interest free, where you don't need to take out a loan. Nobody's calling in harassing you. So I would kind of work through some of these internal processes first. And once we've kind of used all of those or realized they're not real options, then it's, okay, well, who can help you? What are some outside resources?
And she, she needs to look at maybe what her income is, what her expenses are. Is she living outside of her means? Is she passing up on opportunities to make additional income? And if I was, this might be a little extra, but I think, teach a man to fish in this, and good financial habits are really important, and they can go in early adulthood. If you don't have them, you can screw stuff up really bad, really severely, and so if the sister is, if the OP is wanting to be generous, maybe she could even say, hey, I'm going to hire a financial advisor for 3 months, and I'm not going to pay off your debt, but you can meet with them to figure out a plan so that you're able to get yourself out of this hole and not find yourself in it again. But I think if it's, we talk about enabling versus actual supporting a lot, and to let somebody eject out of financial stress doesn't really incentivize them to adjust financial habits. And I think this is more so an opportunity for learning and education, just because, 2,400 euros, that's not nothing, but that's definitely doable if you have a somewhat reasonable income, So I think that she's still not in the point, maybe this being like an actual crisis, but if she doesn't make some changes here, even her choosing a card with that high of interest rate and all that, I think she's not maybe super informed on how to go about spending money.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and a lot of times with interest rate, they're looking at past credit. So if you don't have a good credit score, you're probably going to get screwed with a higher interest rate. So this is probably more telling of patterns of financial irresponsibility.
Yeah, that's a good point. Say the OP she's had a change of heart and she wants to loan this money. What would be some parameters that she, I'm thinking, how can she ensure that these payments are provided on time, that she's not having to hound her for money, that stuff isn't being missed? If she is assuming it's a loan and not a gift, which we said too, if you're going to loan money, you probably didn't plan to not get it back, because that's a lot of trust in somebody else. But if she was to set up that kind of structure, are there any kind of points that you would encourage her to establish as part of that boundary and as part of that loan?
I think any type of boundary is really going to be hard once you pay the debt, because you've already done your part. And I think it's going to be really hard to enforce whether or not they do their part. So I think I might suggest a trial period.
That's a good idea.
Where, you pay me this amount and I'll pay whatever your minimum payment is. So if you have $100 minimum, you pay me $50, I'll pay the $100 minimum. And if we're able to do this pretty consistently, then we're getting somewhere.
So kind of testing to where you're more so paying off the credit card as the credit card is due, as opposed to paying off the whole balance of the credit card.
Yep. And then if she seems trustworthy, she seems like she can do this, you can kind of make a decision from there. Do I want to keep with this method? Because we're making minimum payments, they're not calling and harassing her.
Yeah.
Or do we just want to go ahead and put all of our trust in her and pay off the full debt?
And it probably sounds like framing this as a gift would be more realistic. She obviously doesn't have a history of good financial behavior, so expecting her to pay this debt back is not perhaps realistic. Not that it's wrong to want that. I think that's a reasonable thing to desire, but I don't know that that's going to actually occur.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what kind of threshold would need to happen for me to be like, yeah, pay off that debt. I mean, I think I'd also want to hear if I was the OP, I'd want to hear something like, if I pay off this debt, what's going to change to keep this from happening again? Because if
Yeah.
we're just putting a Band-Aid, I'd want to have some kind of plan. I'd want to know that there was lessons learned from this. If I'm going to protect you from consequences, I need to know that you're not going to do things to continue to invite those consequences. But I think the best way to change behavior is to let people feel consequences. So I think doing a loan or a gift is a bit of enabling, or pay off half the balance or something. I think just wiping it out doesn't, I think that's a bit much. I think the
That's
sister,
a bit enabling.
that's enabling. Yeah, I think the sister, maybe she's get her head above water a little bit, but then I think that she needs to feel the bulk of whatever her spending patterns are.
Yeah.
Do you think there's anything that happened here that went well?
I think her initial decision to say no for the reasons that she did, I think are fairly insightful, because she's saying, like, I could pay off her debt right now because I have the money in my account, but she could also pay off the debt right now because she has money in savings.
Yeah.
So why should I be the one without my savings because you can't manage your credit card debt and your finances? So I think her gut instinct is correct here. And I think her sticking with that, obviously she's having some doubts. She's come to Reddit for some validation and reassurance in her decision. But I think her gut is really accurate here in that she does have the money to solve her own problem. She doesn't really need you.
I think her saying, well, I don't want to eat the 1,600 or what they say, she would lose 600 basically would be like a penalty. Again, maybe this is my pride. I'd rather pay $600 and ask somebody to bail me out of debt when I had means to do it. You know, I think that's a fee that happens when you get your head above water. You're going to lose money.
Yeah.
That's how that goes. Sorry. Tough titty. Yeah. So yeah, you think
we got her kind of in the clear. I did the math. So it was like 25%. If we up that from the $2,400 of credit card debt to also getting her bank account in the clear, which is another $300, like I think it was $675. Okay. So like $75 more to get everything in the clear. Like, go ahead and eat that $675 without all of this debt. I imagine you can save that.
Yeah, pretty quickly, I bet. Yeah.
And I imagine these accounts are very similar to like US accounts of like IRAs or education funds where they're in the stock market. So just because you pull it doesn't mean it's going to take you putting, that 2,700 back in for it to get back to 16,000.
Yeah. And talk about if you're in debt, you shouldn't be putting money aside anyway, because then you wouldn't have to pay $1,600 for a penalty, or just have some kind of, if you're going to have long-term savings, that's excellent. That's a great thing, but have some kind of emergency cushion. She's putting all of her eggs in this basket for like this long-term thing. And yeah, you got to have a little bit of cushion there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the little sister asking for money has got some balls on her. That was like, okay, you are ballsy. I think maybe it'd be a little bit. I might say, hey, I'll get you through. Maybe pay the minimum payment for 2 months or whatever, and you can save that. Or I don't know. I mean, like I'm trying to think if this is one of my brothers coming to me. What would I do? They never asked for money, so I think I'd be like, damn, they're probably really needing some stuff. But yeah, if they were giggling about it and be like, okay, nah, bro, nah. But I'd be more than happy to go over finances with you, figure out what needs to happen. I think I'd stick to the education part, I think.
I might do the 300 in overdraft.
Oh yeah, those are like little bits or like something like that.
Like, let's get your account in the green so when your paycheck goes in, it's not completely gone and you can actually use that to budget. But if your paycheck goes in your account and it's already down $300, that's probably going to suck if you're tight on funds like this.
She like straight up like has no money like at her immediate access. Yeah.
I'd also be looking at other situations like, when is your lease up? What's it cost to break your lease? It sounds like 1, you're not ready to buy a home. 2, you probably couldn't qualify for a mortgage because your account's negative.
Yeah. Like if something breaks,
nobody's giving you a mortgage, ma'am.
So true. Yeah. So like, where's your where's your food money going? Do you know how to cook? Are you able to like take care of yourself? What's your routine like? There might be other like adulting skills going on that needs some more information about as well, And again, if it's that bad, nothing's going to change. She's going to be in this situation again once rent hits, So like, I just don't see how bailing her out's going to change things.
No. Yeah, she needs more than just money at this point.
Yeah. And again, if she lost her job or she got into a car accident. I mean, there could be some kind of crisis again where maybe this would be a different scenario, but that does not sound like what's going on here.
No, if she was in crisis, I imagine she wouldn't have to pay that 25% on withdrawing from her savings. I imagine that would qualify. Just like IRAs have a hardship withdrawal option.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like you think that kind of how the OP checked in with her intuition. She was asking kind of good questions to get more information. She kind of, I think, trusted her gut as well. Would you have directed either one of them to do anything different?
Before this, we kind of touched on this earlier, but with the little sister asking for money, I would direct her to like look at ways she can solve her own problem first and kind of teach some self-efficiency there. But for the older sister, I think she may need to learn the concept of moving in silence. I get that you're excited about a bonus. Everybody doesn't need to know you have a bonus.
I got you.
With sharing some of these things, especially if you have some preconceived notion of what you want to do with that, other people are going to see that and be like, well, that's a bonus. You don't actually need that. So there's no reason why you shouldn't share that with me because I'm struggling.
I see. Yeah. I mean, if you got a family with their hands out.
Yes.
I think it's also shitty if you're excited about something that you can't share it with your family because they're going to take it from you. That's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
But yes, if she had been private though, you're right. And if we're inclined towards more like a socialistic approach in our family income, but if she had kept that to herself, maybe this wouldn't have happened, or your broke sister she's probably not gonna be able to celebrate that with you. So being selective on who you invite into your accomplishments.
Yeah. She may have other sources she could share that news with.
Yeah.
Like friends who are also financially responsible or aren't going to ask you for your money, which no shame if you guys need help and you are at your wit's end and you have to ask for money. We're not shaming you if you need to do that.
Yeah.
But also, like if you have some resources to solve that for yourself, have some self-determination and efficacy to do that for yourself. And I think you'll feel better about yourself knowing you did it.
Totally. I don't think this sister asking for money had the skill set to do this. But if you are in a position to ask for money, you're almost asking for an investment of kinds, and almost presenting as a business plan of, hey, this is your initial buy-in. This is the structure of this loan repayment. This is what I will do to not have this happen again. But I think just to stick your hand out and not have any kind of personal accountability or demonstration of change is a little bit entitled, perhaps. So I would have encouraged her to do a little bit more footwork, maybe on making this more of a business transaction as opposed to asking for a handout.
Okay. So if you were the older sister and little sister came to you, she had her income, all of her expenses, what she was planning to pay you. And she said, here's my plan. Here's my budget. This is doable if you clear everything and bring my bank account to current. Would you feel more comfortable or be more willing to give her the money?
I think I would, because I think that would show me that there had been growth from that. Okay. And that I think that would feel less enabling to me, because that would, I think, feel more supporting of, okay, after the end of this, things are going to be different going forward because she's learned. Again, though, I might be like, tell us how we got there. What are you spending your money on? I think there's still other things too. But I think if it came from a little bit more of a mature place of, this is a one-off, this isn't how I want to live my life, and I'm in a bad spot, and I hate to be opportunistic, but this could really be helpful. And I don't want to burn you through this, but if you could help me out, that'd be really life-changing. I'd really appreciate that. And came at almost like a business plan, like going into Shark Tank, right? It's like, why should I give you money? You're not a good business owner. You're going to ship my money away. Yeah, I would want like a little bit of like and I think maybe the OP could have asked for that of, hey, I have no reason to think you're not going to do this again. I kind of suspect that I can't rely on you to pay this back. So if you want me to trust you with this level of investment, I need you to come up with a little bit of a strategy here.
Yeah. I mean, when she was talking about her APR and how much she was paying in interest, her response to her sister kind of laughing it off, which again may be an avoidance technique, right? If I don't think about it, it's not there.
Mm-hmm.
But to the sister who is being asked for the loan, that seems like she's lying or being ignorant about her finances, neither of which make her really confident to loan you money.
Exactly.
So I'm figuring out like how am I coping with things, and I need to like get my shit fully together before I go to somebody else, because the way I'm coping, if it's maladaptive, is going to seem dysfunctional to them and they're not going to want to loan me money.
Totally. Like, what day's your bills? Like, I don't know when anything's due. It's like, dude, I'm not dumping more money into a sinking ship. Like, man, this car is totaled. I'm not going to pay for repairs. It's just that kind of shit. Yeah. And we use the word self-efficacy a lot in therapy, which it's kind of the same as confidence, but basically it's your ability to think that you can do something. It's like your trust in yourself. So what kind of, when we think about kind of the OP doing a little bit of a bailout, what do you think that would do for the younger sister's self-efficacy to be able to manage finances?
Nothing.
You know?
All it will do is promote her ability to ask for help in the future, which asking for help is a great skill. Sometimes we do need help. We need to accept our limitations.
Yeah.
But I think in this situation, it would have been more effective had she solved the problem with the money she had.
Yeah. And I think a lot of, this ties into, enabling versus helping. But when we're building self-efficacy, it can be quite uncomfortable because we're generally outside of our domain of mastery. So we have to kind of be on the edge of what we know to continue growing in what we know. So sometimes if we have low self-efficacy in something, that causes anxiety. And, wanting to be rescued from the anxiety as opposed to building the skill set, that should not be the objective here. And so in order to allow ourselves and others to increase self-efficacy, we have to have a little bit of tolerance for that state of low mastery as we're learning new things. And we want to make sure we're giving other people the opportunity to increase their own self-efficacy, that they can pull themselves up by their own bootstraps a bit.
Yeah.
Whatever domain that it's talking about,
Mm-hmm. And she does have bootstraps. I think sometimes people use that phrase and people are like, you're telling me to pull myself up by my bootstraps and I don't have boots. But she does have legitimate boots here. She has the savings account with more than enough, right? If she pulled everything to pay out and a little cushion, she could pull out $3,000
and just get done with it, right? And get her head above water. If you're going to pay the penalty, might as well bail yourself out fully.
Do one withdrawal, pay that 25%.
Yeah, and I think you could even reframe the penalty as like, this is what a money mismanagement tax looks like. You just got taxed because you're doing a bad job at your money. It's like you gotta pay in to get your head above water, but there's a cost to that. You made some bad decisions here, or whatever. And paycheck to paycheck sucks. And I'm not gonna say being in poverty is like this cakewalk. I know that is stressful, but also like you kind of claw your way out, and like you get better. There's a lot of, I think, satisfaction that comes with being self-reliant and have some self-efficacy in that,
and get her the skills to get to that point. It's really powerful at the end of that journey, but it sucks while you're in it, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I wish we had a little bit of better feel for how old these individuals are as well.
Yes.
If the author's 50 and her sister's 48, that's like, oh, there's like maybe some bad shit going on in your life, but this is an 18-year-old and a 30-year-old, a little different. But there could be maybe some more context is we're assuming the sister doesn't have good money skills. Yeah. Maybe she's had other life experiences, but
one sister somehow got them.
Yeah. Maybe she's just making enough so she can overspend and there not be problems.
But I think there is definitely a space for education here with the little sister.
I agree. So do you think the OP is an asshole for not paying off her sister's debt?
No, I don't. I think it's completely fine that she doesn't. I think the guilt makes her a good sister. I think the guilt is a testament to the love she has for her sister, and it's hard to see her sister suffer. But at the end of the day, I think she's doing the right thing. And if she wants to do something for her sister, there are probably some other opportunities that she can help her that's not bailing her out.
Yep. I totally agree with you.
Look at that.
I know. Gosh, we're just so in sync now. Man, what a day. What a day today is. Summarize it for us. What all did we learn from our post here?
Yes, we did a quick review of financial boundaries, which are really just guidelines to help us determine how we're going to interact with our money, how we allow others to interact with our money, and how we allow money to affect our own life. Self-efficacy allows us to build confidence and determination in our ability to take care of ourselves. Sometimes we want to help, but helping is actually enabling. And so if you're looking at doing a 100% rescue, not that that's bad, but maybe take a step back and see if there are some other options. Maybe we can do a 25 or 50% rescue and teach some skills. And it's okay for people to feel natural consequences of their behavior if they're doing things wrong. That helps them learn to not do that anymore. Oh, if you're in debt, probably best to get a small safety net and stop saving and pay off your debt.
Yep. Good summarize. I don't have anything else.
All right. That's what we have for you guys today. We want to hear your thoughts. As always, send them to us, assertivepodcast@gmail.com. Until next time.